Okay. And it's done.
When you feel that heat, when you feel that heat, and we can ride the boogie, share that beat of love. I wanna rock with you all night, miss you even today. I wanna rock with you all night. We're gonna rock the night away.
Oriented towards the future. Yeah, okay. That's one way to start a video. Anyways, encore mode. And what I'm going to do is just delete this, and then we're just going to talk about things. Either way, building and building as we build all the time, I've come to find out that the actual trail mark of my art is just making it, and profiting off of it is a different story altogether. Yeah, okay. Sonic, just keep looking at that. Either way, hello everyone, Mr. Blubberjack here today, playing Sonic Mania Plus. I'm only playing a short portion of it. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm not feeling very motivated for that. But I'm just using this, like always, as an excuse to talk to the people who actually, I guess, therefore care about my content. But for the most part, yeah, just a lot of building. I plan on making... Yeah, you see my muscle memory is still active from Sonic 3 Let's Play. But either way, yeah, so when it comes down to it, yeah, and I still don't remember that this is Sonic Mania Plus. Yeah, we're gonna probably just spend a lot of time in this stage, honestly, if we're thinking about it, because we've been here before, but it's not a very lengthy amount of time that you get to stay in this stage, specifically, in Sonic Mania Plus. Yeesh. But yeah, a lot of building. I have multiple different YouTube channels that I create stuff in, and, you know, it's all fun. It's all awesome and everything. This channel specifically is just meant for gameplay, and with that being said, not only is this just meant for gameplay and all that good jazz, I have other channels where I guess I do more reviewed styles, and then other channels are for, I guess, my art. But then I've come to realize, like, oh yeah, if I want to either profit or actually gain a living through this, yeah, I actually have to gain a living just from my already ordinary life of doing my normal job, my everyday 9 to 5. That the goal in itself of obtaining more in the sense of creating art, you know, it's a Herculean effort, especially in my case, because I don't want to create some kind of giant team, like a studio of some sort. I kind of want everything to just be me and whatever I end up creating. And yeah, we're just mostly kind of running around here because there's just, you know, this place is really huge and you never really get to see it all that often. Make this the majority of, you know, the entire Let's Play in itself. But yeah, but I mean, either way, I mean, if this is the first time that you're seeing me and you don't know who I am, or you have no idea what this is all about, well then, yeah, I'm Mr. Blubberjack. I've been uploading for God knows how long on the platform of YouTube, and it gets to the point every time where I upload something that either gets copyrighted or whatever, that I start questioning every single thing that I'm doing in regards to this platform. Because when you become an adult, and it becomes more important for you to earn a living and earn money, especially as a, you know, a dude in every sense of the word, it just becomes a thing where you obsess over that. But then, you know, of course, you still want to absolutely obsess over your ability to not only earn, but to create art, same as it ever was from when you were a kid. So it's basically finding the balance between that and everything. So I will never truly leave this YouTube channel unless the day that I actually end up dying. In fact, if we want to talk about any other interesting things that are going down, yeah, I'm joining the Air Force. So I'm going to be, what do you want to call it, a airman of sorts. And not only just being an airman in that sense, it's like I'm going to have a stable way of actually making money. And with the stable way of making money, that also means that I'll probably not have time to dedicate a lot to my art endeavors, but maybe it will be that case once I get further in the, you know, process. So hopefully, yeah, dare I say, not only playing video games of such, but, yeah, like creating art and all that stuff. And it just depends on whatever I end up feeling like creating once I earn a lot of money. And now we have Mighty and Ray. This is the whole reason for why Sonic Mania Plus was a thing. Alright, let's open this up. Who the hell are we going to play as? This is an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, have this be my official Sonic Mania Plus part of the entire Sonic playthrough stuff. And this video is not going to be high retentive because I want to just make sure that I'm just vibing with you guys. And I know, there's so much. Oh, decisions. No, I always go for freaking Ray. I hate his ability. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, looks like he never was Ray after all. Yeah, either way, if you even pick the other one, then it ends up replacing Mighty as well. So yeah, either way, now we can play as Mighty and do this, and there is no way we're going to be able to get that ring. Jeez. But yeah. Either way, but yeah, so that's what's going on with me, and I am just kind of recording this in the very last second of the day, because I already completed another video that I had done, which I think was a pretty good video. Let's just hope copyright doesn't kill it, absolutely. But it's the Sonic movie review. It's kind of a review. But yeah, I talked about Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, and all that good stuff. So, if you're very interested in my opinions on that, in regards to that and a bunch of other stuff, then go right ahead to the Tree Hobby channel. That is where I keep the majority of my more analytical videos. Hopefully within the future, I end up creating much more juicier content in regards to either animation or whatever or whatnot. But as far as anything is considered, this is, you know, the channel where, yeah, I just vibe and I play video games, and sometimes I do high retentive stuff, but for the most part, yeah, it can literally be whatever I kind of want it to be. And I didn't use the same thumbnail technique for this video like I did with the other ones, because that would just be misleading as all heck if you guys were expecting me to play, you know, Limbo or any of the other games that I honestly try out just for the mere sake of it, because I just kind of like the idea of doing different stuff and making quality out of something that is basically nothing. Hi yo. Yeah. And yeah, Mighty is supposed to be indestructible in some sense, but only when he's in his ball form. In fact, one of the most interesting things about Mighty, give me a second here, where the heck is... Yeah, there's gotta be a thing around here. I guess not. It's usually if, say for instance, hello, where is these things? Oh, he only appears once. Well, basically, any kind of projectile that hits Mighty. Oh, never mind. Okay, so now we're Ray. This is unfortunate. But, yeah, so Ray, he can fly. That's his whole thing. I never get used to it. I'm genuinely shocked that we just instantly went towards Ray. Alright, cool. I wanted to get the electric shield because it's not half bad, and it's a pretty good way to collect all these rings. But it's probably going to dust away in like a second. Oh, hey Sonic. Oh, we're back to the old... Okay. Well, yeah. Alright, let's do this. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sonic can use the elemental shields. More than anything, even then. Yikes. Alright, there it goes. Yikes. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much that. I mean, once I complete the stage, yeah, this is like a no-no. Any time within a video, if you're declaring on when the ending is going to be, that's a no-no, because half of your audience, or just pretty much all of them, are just going to click off at that very moment. Like, everybody on YouTube is very finicky. In fact, maybe I might project that onto this other second half of the video, on how YouTube works and how getting to a audience as soon as possible actually, you know, culminates. Yeah, getting to a new audience right out the gate with a project that you release out in the get-go is very, very interesting. I wouldn't say it's the most difficult thing in the world, because of course you get a handful of people, but to get 100% of your audience, dare I say, immediately once, you know, you make a project of some sort, yeah, it's kind of challenging, because, you know, it works off of metrics like that. But then there's another case-by-case study where I'm basically studying this as we speak, about making content in the sense of, yeah, it sticks with you even after the completion of it and watching it. And stuff like that isn't always monetizable as soon as it can be. Now, those are things that become more of a cult kind of following, if anything else. And those aren't half bad, if anything. But it all depends on, what's the goal of the artist? What's the goal of me as an artist? What's the goal of everything that I end up creating? And I'm the one who basically makes that. And that's how free roaming, I guess, the idea of creating content and creating anything is. That it's not just the game of just getting monetized, if you want to say so itself. It's more or less the game of just how are you constructing yourself in the world in regards to what you want to create, what you want to be, and then even if you had all the money in the world, what kind of identity do you want to form for yourself? And those are, I guess, one of the most foundational questions I'm basically asking myself and making sure that I understand. Because in all honesty, when it comes down to it, being a successful artist, I always would usually come at it and say, oh yeah, you are not successful until the day you die. And in a weird sense, I think it's just, even in its other meaning, it's just that as an artist, whatever kind of works you end up creating, you're going to be as successful as, I guess, of what energy it took to create the art in itself. In fact, that's the real success, for better or for worse, if you want to call it so. And yeah, that's kind of sometimes a shame in a weird sense, because I think when we all create an art piece, we latch ourselves onto the idea of success in regards to, what kind of fortune is this art piece going to deliver us. But then when you realize it, and it comes down to it, it's just ever going to be a piece of art. And if you want to sell it, that's going to require you to do some other back-end work and some other business know-how that has nothing to do with art, even in itself. Yeah, it can be totally part of the process in regards to creating whatever you want to create, but, if you're, I guess, working on a piece of artwork, you don't really think in your head, unless, it's for monetizable reasons, oh yeah, this is how this is going to be. This is how, the first beginning of the video is going to be. This is how, dare I say, every piece of the project's going to come together to masterfully craft itself to getting to the most eyes. And it's specifically that, connecting with general audiences, that, kind of ends up being, I don't know, sort of weird in itself. Yeah, connecting with general audiences, it's cool, but then to some extent, when you look back at the art that you created for the sake of appeasing everyone, it really doesn't always please or appease you. It was meant to be something that was crowdfunded to make sure that it had a specific hook and a specific way of how it actually is organized. And the difference between that and just you making what you like to make is that what you like to make is totally connected to you, and you don't have to really care about much, and thus when you've created it, it's kind of like a thing where you can look back on it with pure nostalgia. And I don't know, that's kind of one of the biggest reasons why I like to create and draw and stuff, because it's nostalgic for totally different reasons, Like, yeah, of course, like stuff like Sonic and whatever else I enjoyed in the past is super nostalgic even in its own sense, but pure nostalgia from the sake of what I've created is something that honestly can never be really matched or replicated unless it's solely created by me, which is one of the biggest reasons for why I think in the future, like, oh yeah, if I wanted to hit actual numbers, I would need a number of people to organize and create, but that's if I'm making the best product ever. If I'm trying to reach the goal of being the best artist that I can be, that I actually am very proud of whatever works that I end up creating, then I have to create it all by myself. And it's not much of a pride thing than it is just a thing of just, no, this is just the way that I really want it to be, because it's the fulfillment of dreams in that sense. And this is not one of those things where it's like, you need people to help you on your quest of dreams. Like, that's understood, of course. But when it comes down to projects that you're supposed to feel, the ultimate nostalgia for, and you want to see it exactly envisioned the way you want it to be, but also too, you want to look back at it with fond eyes. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'll pour energy, like a ton of energy, into creating this very thing, making sure that not only does it match my ideals, but it's real, it exists, and I love it for existing. And that's usually one of the biggest goals with I guess, me in creating art, because when I ever make something that is more for general audiences, they'll enjoy it for sure, but I won't enjoy it, I guess, as much as they do. But it's strange. I do enjoy the skill sets that I've learned over the course of my, dare I say, YouTube journey, if anything. YouTube journey in that sense, and also just artist journey in itself. I can tell you a bunch of stories of how I sold or created a bunch of art. Hello, this thing is really going at it. Well, it already got me. It is what it is. Yeah, I talk a lot about this kind of stuff. I talked about this stuff a lot within the Let's Play in itself. I use the Sonic brand to kind of sneakily talk about the things that I enjoy talking about. And I mean, yeah, people probably notice, and people probably are just kind of tuning in for whatever reasons they like to tune in. So there's a bit of masterful, like, you know, utilizing YouTube and the algorithm and stuff like that, but then I'm trying to perfectly marriage it with what I actually genuinely like talking about. Until that moment comes where I just talk about, I guess, what do you call it? Just that in itself, dear God. But yeah, we're already in the second stage of Chemical Plant Zone with Mighty, or no, with Ray. Let's try to see if we can change this up. Alright, let's see. Boom. Yes, we are Mighty. That is interesting. Alright, yeah, and so, you know, Sonic Mania Plus is that example of, yes, this is a really awesome little add-on to Sonic Mania in itself, in every sense of the word, and I guess that's another thing to talk about as well in regards to making your own brand, is like following it up with something that is traditionally actually, dear by golly, interesting for every sense of the word, if you want to call it so. Because yeah, making a product that not only everybody enjoys, but actually monetarily benefiting from that project, hello, that's just, you know, that's kind of the game and stuff. Dare I say, it's just as challenging as dating. Actually, dating is not challenging at all. I think the only challenging thing with dating is like successfully keeping things together, if that makes any sense, because that's how I would compare, you know, rolling out a brand and making sure your brand is successful in some regard, not only just in monetary success, but also in the way of how it emotionally hits. Because, yeah, like, one of the main games of the entertainment field is how well you can spike emotions. Not only how can you spike emotions, but make those emotions so consistent to the point where those emotions start to really breathe, I guess, money. But even if it isn't money, it's kind of like, no, well, what about just the goal in itself of just making timeless pieces of art, regardless of how much you actually profit off of it, which is a definite thing, and honestly, it might be that road that I might be walking. So if you're ever kind of curious about me, of being something like me, or being just like me, just understand the reality that, in all honesty, there's no money in this. And if there is money, it's very small, and every artist is just kind of, you know, creeping by and trying to survive and keep their head above water to some extent. And if they do seem successful in some regard, it's mainly because there's something else backing it. Unless they're like, you know, Jimmy, Mr. Beast, who understands that he should probably put some quality time and effort into other things besides videos, or besides the very art piece that he makes, and be very good at other things with business, like candy bars, for example. In fact, there could be a whole thing where literally, I don't know, maybe in the future I get obsessed over that and making something that is genuinely capable of making money, that only has a loose connection towards my brand or a no connection at all. Because if when I join the Air Force and I join the military, dare I say, it's definitely going to be a thing where the thing that supports me has nothing to do with the very art that you probably enjoy from me, if that even makes any sense. And yeah, I hope you're getting all this information in 4K, because it's definitely, I think, a lot more than I thought I was going to be talking about in this video. And that's the part of art that I really like, you know? The second you start it, it is nothing, or it basically, I don't know, it just writes its own self, if you want to say so. It writes itself, it creates things, and then it's through that discovery process that you start to find out the unknown aspects about, I guess, what's already real about you. And that's the stuff that you can't really emulate or nostalgically create through curating groups and stuff. Hello, that's the weirdest thing that could ever happen. Oh yes, these little bonus stages. We're actually getting a good amount of just looking at what Sonic Mania Plus is all about. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to get up there, but I know it's going to be boring as heck if I do. Maybe I should just kill him. Yeah, just die. Yeah, but yeah, so, I mean, you know, once we get to that Puyo Puyo section, if anything, really, that'll probably be the end of it. But yeah, we'll try that out. But either way, that's just my whole thing, and this is me, Mr. Boulevard Jag, doing my thing. I am not a quote-unquote successful brand. In fact, you could say I'm the most unsuccessful artist that there is. And the only success that I really quote-unquote have is just the very fact that I vibe with my own content, and I like it, and I'll probably watch it for years and years on end, because I find myself coming back to my old content a lot, like a lot, to catch guidance of what I was like at the time and what I was actually very much interested in. And it starts to empower me to create more interesting pieces of art, and that's kind of always how I've worked for the most part. And so, yeah, I mean, I know, is that kind of sad, where it's like there's no real quote-unquote, I guess, real success in the ways that you quote-unquote dream of it, but rather it's always been successful because the way of how you feel when you create art or whatever you like is very much the feeling you should be chasing, and not the satisfaction of making the most crowd-pleasing piece of entertainment that there ever was, or something. Yeah, unless I guess you get blacklisted from the industry, which is kind of terrible in itself, because I can't even imagine that for myself. Like, damn, we are doing so good at Puyo Puyo. I didn't know we were this awesome. But yeah, because I'm one of those people who believes that, yeah, you know, results matter, and getting the monetary ability to do things is very important, but then those feelings have to be consistent, like feeling pretty good. And yeah, like that's like the masculine side and the feminine side kind of kicking into high gear with trying to be as consistent as possible with whatever desires, I guess, I feel and what anybody else would feel. And dear God, Eggman, can you just go? Can you just get dead or something? Like, I'm trying to end this video with a bang, and you're kind of getting in the way. Look, he's about to jack up himself. In fact, we could probably just stop playing at this point. He's probably just gonna doom himself at this point. Let's see. He's got to jack himself up at some point. Jeez, this guy sucks at playing Puyo Puyo Tetris. Holy. Yeah. But yeah, because I mean, there's the quality about art that it's basically nonsensical in every sense of the word, and it's not always curated to be planned. But then, you know, you got things like that, and that's when you're doing an actual business. That's when you're like freaking Disney, and then you're creating these things that should work, and then you're realizing, hello, a live action piece of garbage has just been created and put into the world. Yeah, turn that down. Ew.